Alright, so in your pamphlet, go to the page where now we're going to start working on the formulas for making this shape. Also, get out a piece of paper, and you can either use 8.5 by 11, or if you already have, you can use your 8.5 by 14 paper. Whichever one you do have, let's turn it so it is landscape, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use the 8.5 by 14 inch. So go ahead and take a minute to sharpen your pencils and also get out your ruler. And what we're going to do is from the top of the paper, we're going to come down 3 inches. And it doesn't have to be exactly 3 inches. And draw a line all the way across horizontally. Then what we're going to do is come in an inch from the edge here and make a cross mark. And then we're going to come along for 8 inches and make another cross mark out here. And again, if you're doing this on an 8.5 by 11, this will still fit inside of here, no problem. So to my left side, this is going to be the wrist. So if you want, you can put a W here, or you can write the word wrist. Then moving along here to my right side, this is going to be the fingertips. So here I'll just put on fingertips. Now what we want to do is we want to find the halfway point between the two. Later on when you're doing this, you're just going to use your pencil and find the halfway point. But since we measured this out to be 8 inches, we already know 4 inches is the halfway point. And then between this halfway point going towards the fingertips, we want to find another halfway point, and that would be 2 inches. And again, the size of this is 1/4, 1/2, and this is the full length. Now out here towards the fingertips where we have this quarter distance, I want you to make an oval shape that stays within that quarter distance. And this same oval shape is about how wide the wrist is. And the wrist we have is down here. So what we need is this oval shape to be down here at the wrist. And we want half of it going upwards and half of it going downwards. So let's split this one more time in half. So this oval shape, go ahead and split it in half, which would be the same as 1 inch. And now what we can do is we can take this 1 inch, and down here at the wrist, you can go 1 inch going up and 1 inch going down. And then if you want, you can just double check. Yes, it's 2 inches. Yes, that's right in the middle. And then go ahead and draw that same oval here going vertical. So again, this shape right here is your wrist. The next thing we want to do is, if you remember, we had drawn some lines that went out like this and out like that. We're going to find those lines now. How we're going to do it is, at the fingertips, we want to go up 1/4 of a hand, which also is the same as her wrist. So take this wrist measurement and go up 1/4. And if you want to double check it, at this scale, that's going to be 2 inches exactly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect this back to the top of the wrist here. So now we've done 1/4 of a hand going up, and we connected that back to the wrist. For the lower part, we're going to do 1/2 of a hand going downwards and connect that back to the wrist. So come over here and find 1/2 of a hand and measure downwards. And if you want to double check that, again, this was 4 inches, so going down 4 inches. And this is here at the fingertip. And then we want to connect this back to the wrist. Now the reason why it's shorter at the top and longer at the bottom is because this is going to be a left hand. The next thing we want to do is remember that we had these arcs in here. So we had arc A, B, and C, and these two connected back here at B and C. So we want to get that here on our new layout. So basically here's A. Now as a beginner, what I want you to do is go ahead and just draw a straight line that is square with the center of the hand. And then knowing that it's an arc, here where it's connecting up to the top and down at the bottom, we want to make sure we're arcing inwards. So it would come into here and into here. And for me, since I'm right-handed, I like to turn this to the side so I can pivot right here and get a nice clean arc. Now let's label this. So this was A going down to A. The next one is going to be B. So let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and draw a line that is square with the center of the hand. And then out here, we again want to have the same curve like A. So I'm hitting perfectly on the dot in the middle, but then I'm curving out as I come to this outside line at the tops and the bottoms. And let's label this B and B. Then the last one that we're going to do is we're going to do this arc for C. Now up here, the arc for C is the same as A and B, but down here the arc for C comes all the way back to B. And again, we're going to match the same arc as A and B up here at the top. If you want, as a beginner, you can go ahead and draw a straight line with your ruler, so then you can make sure that you're arcing inwards, but you're coming back to hit C right there. But the next part of the arc will go quick back into B. If you want, you can see with a straight line, it cuts in really quick, but that's not good because remember, your hand has to curve into there. So it should still continue arcing out before it comes back to B and C. And again, let's go ahead and label this. So this is C up here, and down here it's already B. So we're going to put B and C. So this is our basic layout. Something else that might be helpful is down here at the wrist. If you wanted to make this just a little bit longer so you can see the wrist all the way through. And again, this is coming out to her fingertips. Now this layout that we did is going to be for the left hand only. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the opposite. So we'll do a mirror opposite of this, and then we'll have one for the right hand. Take out a fresh new piece of paper. So then at the end of the assignment, you can show me all 4 of the hands that you're going to draw. And what we're going to do is we're going to do one now heading the opposite direction. So again, come down 3 inches from the top of the paper and draw a straight line all the way across. And then come in 1 inch from the side here, and this is going to be our wrist. And now we're going to measure 8 inches starting from the wrist. So if you want, let's label this wrist. And we're going to measure 8 inches out to the fingertip. And then what we want to do is we want to find the halfway point. So since we measured out 8 inches, halfway will be 4. And then between the fingertip and the halfway point, we want to find another halfway point. So in this instance, it will be another 2 inches. Now you remember that if you put an oval here, this is 1/4 of her hand, and 1/4 of her hand is the same as the height of her wrist total above and below the center. So if we come in here and we split this in half one more time, which would be 1 inch, then we can take that measurement and we can go at the wrist above and at the wrist below for a total of 2 inches. And if you want to just double check that, and then go ahead and draw in an oval for your wrist here. Later on, when you're drawing different size hands, just remember that it's halfway, halfway, halfway. So the same quarter measurement from her wrist, we're going to go from the center of the hand upwards, so 1/4 of a hand. At this scale, that's the same as 2 inches, so you could go ahead and double check that. And then again, we're going to take this and connect it back to the top of the wrist. And then the one down below, remember, is always longer, and that's where the thumb goes. And how much longer? It's twice as long, so now we need half of a hand going downwards. So you could take this half of a hand measurement and go down. And then if you want to double check it, it should be 4 inches. And then we're going to take that and connect it back to the bottom of the wrist. So then here we have arc A, B, and C as the fingertips. Again, just for beginner students, you can take the ruler, draw a straight line, and then you're able to see, hey, if I do an arc, it will curve in this much here, and down here, it'll curve in that much there. So there's A and A. Let's do the same thing here at B. So making sure that I'm square with the center of the hand. And then I'm getting my arc out to here. B, B. And then we'll do this one more time out here at the fingertips. Remember to skip this dot that was right here. This is the old dot when we were just trying to find out how tall the wrist was. So skip that and come all the way out to the fingertip. Square up a straight line. And then C, the shape should look the same as A and B up here for C. But then it'll connect back to B down here. So B and C down here at the bottom. So now that we've drawn two of these and they are mirror opposites, we have one for the right hand and one for the left hand. So remember, all her hand gestures will fit inside of here. Now remember, as the model is facing towards you, this is her right hand and this is her left hand. So for you looking at the paper, it seems like it's the opposite because this is my left hand and this is my right hand. But you have to remember, we're talking about the model. So for instance, this drawing here would actually come over here to be that left hand. And then the drawing that we did for this side would come over this way. And this is the guidelines and the formula for doing her right hand. As I zoom in on all three of these models, you can see here in detail that I'm doing this little guideline box, this little formula in which the hands fit inside of there. So that's basically what you drew just now. Now that you understand where the layout comes from, and then you learn the formulas for doing the layouts for a right hand and a left hand, what you're going to do is inside the homework handout on the very first page, you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 layouts. And you'll notice number 1 is right hand, number 2 left hand, and number 3 and 4 is going to be going downwards. And look inside the box, and this is everything I want to see on your layouts. So all of the markings, guidelines, as well as putting the letters in here, and then 1/2 of a hand is the bottom, 1/4 hand is the top. And the reason why number 3 and number 4 are going vertically is because when you start drawing all of your fashion hands, all of those hands will actually be facing downward like 90% of the time. For the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to start to learn to draw some hands, and we're going to make them fit inside of these formulas.